Hi, I'm Chris Irvin, and I'm here for Hamptons Television, and we have been invited to the annual State of the Base presentation here at Westhampton's Gabreski Airport. Well, you know, the Air National Guard is based here. They have the 106 Rescue Wing, which is part of the Air National Guard. And, you know, most of us don't really know what they do, so we've come here to find out during their annual State of the Base presentation, and we're going to ask some questions and take a look around, and we're going to show you what they do. So stay tuned. We're here with Colonel Mike Kanders, and you are, what is your exact, tell us a little bit about what your exact title is here.
Sure, I'm the wing commander of the 106 Rescue Wing.
Okay, you know, growing up out here as a local on the East End, I always used to see the aircraft go by, you know, drive by the base, but I never really knew exactly what was going on here. What is going on here?
Well, for the last 32 years, we've been in the search and rescue business as part of the 106 Rescue Wing, part of the New York Air National Guard. So we're a reserve force that does search and rescue, combat search and rescue, and we also do state missions as well. So the National Guard around the country has two roles: to serve overseas as required, and for us it's combat search and rescue, but also to work here at home, and particularly since 9/11 now, be part of the defense of the homeland, working with the local authorities to make sure that we can respond to local emergencies, be they natural disasters such as hurricanes or, God forbid, another terrorist attack.
Well, you know, you're making a presentation this evening about the state of the base, and there is a lot of rumors the base is going to close, and we found out the base is not going to close. Where are we now? Where do we stand?
Well, back in 2005, the Department of Defense had what they call a base realignment and closure commission, which looked at all of the bases across the Department of Defense, not only here in the United States but overseas, and made decisions on whether or not bases should be maintained, should be continued. And actually, it's a good business practice to make sure that there's not too much overhead, not too much duplication. So we were part of that process. We were considered for closure. There was a proposal to move the wing to Newburgh, New York, and shut down Gabreski Air National Guard Base here. I was part of the process to tell our story, to make sure that people knew the importance of the base to the local community from a Homeland Defense, Homeland Security perspective, but also from an economic perspective, with almost 1,300 jobs in the local area, over $100 million of economic impact. So we're one of the largest employers out here in eastern Long Island. So,
well, there was a big outcry when the rumors came up that the base is going to close, and I think a lot of people were just, you know, they didn't want the base to go. Were you sort of encouraged by the local support that you got?
Absolutely. To some extent, taken aback. I didn't realize how much regard there was for us here in Southampton, the town of Southampton, and in Suffolk County, and it was really a great pleasure to meet many of the local leaders, the federal, state, and local officials that were interested, but also the members of the community who we buy pizza from, who we get our cars repaired with, and so they wanted us to stay. Not only for economic reasons, but also for our life-saving mission that we bring to Long Island.
Well, you know, I'm looking around here and I see aircraft and helicopters. Tell me a little bit about what exactly it is that you guys do here.
Well, day to day we're training to do our search and rescue mission. So every day our guardsmen, and they're part-timers, which is probably one of the more interesting parts of our story, they typically have other jobs. So 75% of the 1,000 members that work here are otherwise employed. They're doctors, lawyers, firemen, policemen, business people, and then they come out and they train with us to prepare for the missions that we're assigned. So it could be an overseas deployment, for example, or it could be a local mission, but day to day we're training. That's really what we're doing. We're doing flying training. We have other support functions here on the base. I have a civil engineering squadron, for example. I have a firefighting squadron. I have a medical group. So all of those members are also training and preparing to deploy on very short notice, be it overseas or around the United States. For example, we had a contingent down in New Orleans for Hurricane Katrina, and we were very proud of the work we did down there.
Don't you also cover the space shuttle launches and that sort of thing?
We do. One of the things, or one of the more appealing missions, more exciting missions, is space shuttle rescue. When the space shuttle launches, and this was following the Challenger disaster, NASA decided to construct a rescue plan. So, believe it or not, the astronauts in some modes may bail out of the orbiter, and the 106 is responsible for recovering those astronauts. So we trained to that. We traveled down to Cape Canaveral for all of the launches, and it's a great part of our mission. And actually this year we're going to achieve a very special milestone, our 100th mission that we've done since the Challenger disaster, so we're very excited. Another great part of the story, these are Long Islanders who are working in the community, who live here in the community, many in Suffolk and Nassau County out here in the East End. So the concentration as you go west diminishes. Most are in this area, but we do have some from the 5 boroughs in Manhattan, but most are from Nassau and Suffolk County. And they love the opportunity to work locally, to rescue a fisherman or a boater that they may know, or to respond to a hurricane, for example. It's our community, it's our homes, it's our jobs, it's our businesses. So that's one of the nice parts of National Guard service, is that role that we have as a local response force to support civil authorities in natural disasters, or as I said earlier, God forbid, a terrorist attack.
And you're from the island as well, aren't you?
I am. I'm a Long Islander, born and bred. Nassau County first, saw the light and came out to Suffolk County out here in the beautiful Hamptons. But yeah, I'd say many of our wing members have grown up here and are proud to say they're Long Islanders.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
When I fly, I rely on my wingman to cover my back. That's the role of the Air Force Reserve, to serve when called upon. We move America, taking people and supplies around the world. We build and repair runways to keep our planes flying. We maintain an array of magnificent aircraft. We routinely perform amazing feats in the sky. We're your neighbors. We live and work in your communities and still hold part-time jobs in the Air Force Reserve. We've got your back.
Tell me your name and what it is that you do here.
Okay, I'm Chief Master Sergeant Ed Ryder. I'm the command chief here at the 106, and I'm also a flight engineer. I fly on the HC-130s.
So you actually go out and you actually help rescue people.
Yeah.
Now tell me a little bit about your job.
Okay, well, as a flight engineer, I'm responsible for running all the systems on the aircraft and making sure that, the fuel is getting to the engines, the electrics are working on all that. And if there's an emergency with the airplane, try to manipulate the systems to make sure that the airplane continues to fly.
But it must be pretty exciting to actually go out there and rescue people. I mean, I know you don't think of it as adventurous, but it sure seems like it to the layperson.
Well, it's a very rewarding experience because you're basically giving back. You're picking somebody up either out of the water or out of some kind of a life-threatening situation, and you're saving your life. So that's always very rewarding. It's just a good feeling. It's pretty cool.
Have you covered some of the space shuttle launches and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I've been doing the space shuttle since we started doing that mission. I've been in the unit for 28 years, so had a lot of time at the wheel.
How about over in the Middle East? Have you been there as well?
Yeah, I was actually on one of the first crews to deploy out of Gabreski way back in the first Gulf War. We went over and we stood rescue alert over in Saudi Arabia. When they went into Iraq the first time. So,
if there's one thing that you wanted people to know about what you do, what would that be?
Well, let's see. I think I'd want them to know more about the 106. I think that the guys here and the ladies and gentlemen, I should say, are very unique. It's a very unique mission. I know that there's not a lot of people that know about us out here, so I would really like to see the awareness of the unit be promoted more.
Well, outstanding. Thank you so much for your time.
Problem. Thank you.
Here with Colonel Rob Landseidel. You do actually fly some of the missions out of the base, don't you?
Yes, I'm a C-130 pilot. I'm also in charge of the maintenance group, and I've just been selected to be the vice wing commander at the 106.
What's it like flying out of here in Westhampton?
Oh, it's great. I grew up here in Hampton Bays, lived out here since 1962 at the summer home, and then I moved out here full-time in 1983, so it's been a dream for me. Being able to serve the community, flying rescue missions. I started out as a helicopter pilot. I had numerous saves from boating incidents out over the off the Shinnecock, and we did a lot of medevacs back in the early days when Suffolk County PD didn't have any helicopters. So we would shuttle people back and forth from the East End to Stony Brook University and into Manhattan for some more serious patients. And then in 1988, I switched over to fly the C-130s. So I'm really the only person who's flown both the helicopters and the 130s that's here at the base. So it's been pretty good to see both sides of the house.
Well, it's not always a safe job. What keeps you going?
Well, the mission, really saving people's lives. I've been in pretty significant situations in the past. I flew into a hurricane a number of years ago, one of my first missions on the C-130, where a ship went down about 700 miles southeast of here, and there were about 21 people in the water. We penetrated a hurricane, got down low. It was very turbulent, wound up deploying a 20-man life raft to a bunch of people, and they were able to get into it, and a ship came by and picked up about 6 of them. And then there were other people in the water that we directed the ship to, and in that mission we wound up saving 21 lives. So, you know, it's close to home. A lot of people are touched by the things that we do here, and I'm just grateful to be part of it.
Welcome to the 106th Rescuing. I am Major Emily DeRocher, the Wing Executive Officer, and it's such a pleasure to see all of you here tonight.
Now, you may not be familiar with the Friends of the 106th. Part of my goal here today is to make you a little bit more familiar and bring you up to date with some of our activities in the past, the present, and the future. We are a not-for-profit community organization currently applying for 501c3 status. We are committed to offering support to the members of the 106th and their families and encouraging community support for the 106th members and families. We also coordinate community events and recognize the members of the 106th and their families. We are composed of a board of directors and a board of advisors. As a community group, we are committed not only to supporting the members of the Wing in whatever humanitarian way that we can, but continuing the effort started by a grassroots organization called GRIP. We will maintain a presence with our representatives in the Senate and the House of Representatives to ensure that the 106th remains in our community for many years to come. The motto of the 106th Air Rescue Wing is "So others may live." My friends and neighbors, we are the others that they're referring to. The members of this wing put their lives on the line every day to ensure the safety and security of you, me, our friends and families up and down the eastern seaboard and across the world. The motto of the Friends of the 106th is very simple: to support those who support us. This is actually one of my more favorite parts of the evening. I want to introduce to you the wing commander of the 106th, Colonel Michael F. Kanders.
Well, it's hard for me to overstate how grateful that we in the 106th Rescue Wing are for all this tremendous support. So I'm representing about 1,000 men and women of the wing and their families who work here, and I can't say enough about the Friends of the 106 and all of the tremendous support we've received. It's hard for me to, when I think back to 2003 and 2004 when my boss talked about base realignment and closure, I said he can't be talking about me, he can't be talking about the 106 because we do search and rescue, we save lives, it's a no-brainer. Why would they close the 106 Rescue Wing? Well, little did I know that logic sometimes doesn't prevail when politics and leadership and management in different sectors in Washington discuss the future of bases. This was a process that happens periodically, and it's a good business practice actually, where the Department of Defense looks at all of their overhead and decides whether or not bases should be kept open. So every base claims they should be. Right around the time that I realized the risk was pretty significant, I wasn't quite sure what to do, and so started to reach out to the local community and to our local officials, certainly Congressman Bishop, the leadership in Southampton, the leadership in Suffolk County, the leadership here in Westhampton, and the response was overwhelming. I can't say enough about not only the elected officials, but also our local business community, and we mentioned Hank Beck, who stepped right into that job as the president of GRIP and provided the leadership that we needed to get the support we needed. So the end of the story is a good one, that we're still here.
This is a Mayday. We are in a life raft. Any vessel, come back, please.
Requesting assistance. This is King 2-1. We are in the area. Proceeding.
Arnold State 70, thank you. Left course.
Lead in position.
Being coastal unit, a lot of the rescue missions we get are out over the ocean. And a lot of the ones we get from the United States Coast Guard. It's beyond the range of the equipment that they have. So normally what happens is the C-130 will launch and deploy PJs to the scene to start treating the survivors, get them in the raft, and get them prepped for pickup. The helicopters will follow after the C-130 because they're much slower in airspeed than the C-130s.
Survivor out here. Listen up on the electronics. Look visually. Scanners, take your position. The equipment on the impacts back there.
Right, they're set up, sir.
Okay, we're 2,000 feet. We're descending to a low altitude shortly.
We have two missions, really. Our primary mission is combat search and rescue. And essentially what that is retrieving perhaps a pilot that's been shot down behind enemy lines. That would be a fairly typical scenario. We do also have a civilian search and rescue mission. We will sometimes assist the Coast Guard with some of their search and rescue missions. We perhaps might assist other federal agencies in disaster areas and that sort of thing. I consider myself lucky to be part of an organization like this.
People ask where the motivation comes from to do a job like this, and it really changes over the years. And when you first come into pararescue, a lot of the motivation is, you know, just jumping out of airplanes and rappelling down mountains and you know, scuba diving and doing all this stuff that just seems so interesting and, you know, so much like what you always dreamed your best job would ever be. You know, as you grow, the motivation turns in the direction of helping people, and I think that's what most PJs will say about their jobs.
Are we going to drop on this pass? Affirmative.
The 106 Rescue Wing is part of the New York Air National Guard, which is a reserve of the Air Force and has a broad range of mission capabilities centered around combat search and rescue primarily, but we also have a broad base of what we call expeditionary combat support. So besides this flying capability, we have a medical squadron, a security forces squadron, a civil engineering squadron, firefighters, and then all of the overhead functions here at the wing that serve us, like in personnel, in our warehouse, all of those functions are also deployable. So all of the men and women that work here can be called on very short notice to work overseas for all kinds of periods of time. Could be a couple of weeks to upwards of a year. The pararescue force is probably only a couple of hundred, whereas I think a lot of the other special forces in the Navy and in the Army in the Marine Corps may be a bit larger. So this is very elite, tight-knit group There is so much sacrifice, so much dedication that's required. It's much, much more than one weekend a month and a couple of days a year. I think the term weekend warrior is an unfortunate term because most people in the know realize that that is not a term that should be applied anymore. Probably most people around the country, as they watch footage of activity in Iraq or Afghanistan, probably don't realize that many, many of those people are reservists. They're serving as, in quotes, part-time, but they really do make a full-time commitment.
How you feeling? One seasick. I'm the captain. I'm fine. Fred, I think he's having a heart attack.
LB2 hoist. 2 on the first hoist. 2 on the second hoist. Maintain a hover. Followed by you going in for a hoist of 2 and 1.
Keep floating aircraft. Forward 100 feet. Got a little bit of spray at the cabin door. Right 2. Hold the hover. Good hover. Drifting back slightly. Stop that. Drifting right.
Once the helicopters arrive on scene, we'll get the survivors up into the helicopter with the aid of the pararescue jumpers, make a medical determination, and we'll either bring the survivors back to the unit or to the hospital if we have anybody that's injured. Our open ocean type rescues oftentimes are way out to sea. I've personally been over 800 miles out to sea on some of them, and it usually requires air refueling, which puts us over and above any other rescue assets that are available.
Plenty of time. We'll be well ahead of the jollies on the return.
0.7, I see it.
In fact, you can go visually right to just inside of Robbins Island.
Speed's looking good. Establish and turn. Let's go flaps 100, please.
Speed's good, sir.
The end on Whiskey, monitor ground point 8 to parking via Whiskey High Speed.
Eagle's got a field day.
The motto that we sort of surround as we work here every day, that we have this very important life-saving mission, be it overseas or here off the waters of Long Island. So we take a great deal of pride in that. And if you, as you came in, you probably saw this Rescue Angel with the number of saves, which is 610 to date. So we're very proud of that number. This was a slide I actually used when I was talking about base realignment and closure, and the proximity and location of the base really makes it an asset that I described as a jewel, because we're located here in a position between Coast Guard helicopter units, which are not on the slide, but some years ago a Coast Guard unit was in Brooklyn that closed down, so we're now the helicopter coverage for this part of the Atlantic Ocean, working very closely with the Coast Guard. And actually I've got Coast Guard stations indicated in blue here, but when we train and we're doing our flying, we're actually listening to the Coast Guard working frequency. So they're able to touch base and reach out to us if they have a rescue or if they have a case they're working. We can be brought to bear very, very quickly. The other area, or the other part of this slide, which is interesting, is this is where we train. We spend a lot of time out over the ocean, because we do fly low level at night with night vision goggles or night vision devices that the aircrew wear in order to see at night. And so this is really part of our initiative to make sure that we fly friendly, that we couldn't possibly fly over the populated areas at the altitudes we train at. So this close proximity of the base to this training area out here, which is called Warning Area 106, is another reason why it's important that we stay right here on Long Island. This is our air refueling track when we practice with the tanker and the helicopter transferring gas, or as we say, passing gas. We do it right here, out here over the South Shore, right along the track. Sometimes you may see us out there. We're probably about a mile offshore. So we can work out here, and with no safety or environmental impacts, which again make it such a great location here in eastern Long Island. And then on the base, this 9,000-foot runway is another important asset because it provides the capability not only for us to do our training, but for large aircraft such as what are called C-5s or C-17s airlifters to come into Suffolk County and deliver required equipment that might be used in a disaster response or hurricane response. And it's the only 9,000-foot, or the only runway of this size until you get to Kennedy Airport. The length at Islip, I think, is about 7,000 feet. So this alone is another reason why this base is so important for national defense. So they're very highly trained, highly motivated, do a lot of hair-raising, dangerous stuff. And me and Kevin Riley back there, every time they go out on a mission, we're pretty worried sometimes because it might be 2 a.m. When they're going to go out and fly and parachute down to a tanker that's got a severely injured person, to parachute down to a ship out there in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean and get aboard that big tanker, for example, and save a life. We've done that before. Again, another one of the hair-raising missions in our lexicon. So survivor extraction and medical treatment and a lot of other things that they can do. So I want to just talk about really the federal and state side. That's how we're differentiated from a lot of other military units. We have a federal mission and a state mission, and the federal mission is really to support the U.S. Air Force. So it's search and rescue, combat and peacetime. We can be required, and the Coast Guard, if we're working with the Coast Guard, that's actually a federal mission when we go out and save someone that might be in trouble working in concert with the Coast Guard. And then I mentioned expeditionary combat support in the DVD. So we've got a great flying operation, but it's only part of the story. We've got a medical squadron, a civil engineering squadron, firefighters, logistics, warehouse people. They all can do amazing things either here at home or overseas. So that's sort of an alphabet soup: security forces, civil engineers, medical logistics. Working again very closely with the Coast Guard. We have a great working relationship with them. We do training with Moriches and Shinnecock, Montauk, Jones Beach. Very much integrated in their mission. And then one of the missions that we're very, very proud of is the Space Shuttle Rescue. This is the state of New York divided into 6 regions or joint task forces. I have responsibility for Nassau and Suffolk County, Joint Task Force 2. So if there's an emergency, I would actually pass the wing to Colonel Landseidel, and then I would become the Joint Task Force Commander, which means that depending on what the civil authorities would need, I could bring in National Guard forces from all around the state. There could be from other states. They could be federal forces to come and assist. And these are all based on Katrina lessons learned. So we're working. As a matter of fact, yesterday I spent the day in Nassau County with the Nassau County officials working out some of our training, some of our provisions, where we're going to put food, where we're going to put people, how we're going to move people. So the lessons learned from Katrina are well learned in the state of New York. I can assure you that. It's really, we're well prepared and ready to go to work. Okay, so that's it. That's our East End, proud to be part of Southampton and Suffolk County slide, showing us over Montauk Lighthouse. So very, very much part of the community, love to be part of the community. One of the things that happened after BRAC, interestingly enough, was instead of closing, we're growing. So I've got a number of authorizations that I need to fill with part-time and full-time people. So I wanted to share that with you, and I think word of mouth is one of the best ways to have people come in and be interested. We promise very high job satisfaction. That's the pay is good. The benefits are good, but the job satisfaction is very good.
610 saves to their credit. The 106 Air Wing here at Gabreski Airport appears to have a pretty safe future. For WVVH-TV, I'm Chris Irvin.